if the Buccaneers took Kenyon Sadiq in round number 1. And how the topic came up was ESPN.com did an article on everything they're hearing on each of the teams. And they wrote, what we're hearing on the Buccaneers draft, defensive end and tight end are two positions that the Bucs have keyed in on in round 1. Options with tight end Kenyon Sadiq Oregon are becoming a real possibility at number 15. And I just feel like if that name gets called, people are going to lose their minds. People were losing their minds last year with Emeka Egbuka. Now it all worked out. And the text line, everybody on the text line seems to have the same opinion. They don't want Sadiq for one reason. I think it's the wrong reason. A lot of people are saying that if they draft Sadiq in round 1, it's O.J. Howard 2.0, please no. Just because they drafted a tight end in round number 1 before and it didn't work out doesn't mean it's fair to compare this guy to O.J. Howard. I don't like doing that. You can't do that, right? You've drafted plenty of players in round number 1. All right, Joe Shoyinka, right? You drafted him around number 1. You're never going to take a guy that can rush the passer again because JTS didn't work out? I mean, if you live that way, it's not the right way to live. I don't want Kenyon Sadiq, not because I think he's O.J. Howard 2.0. I actually think he's a really good prospect. I just think it's not a fit for what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to do. They need someone on defense. And I'm typically a guy that says take the best player available. But in the case of the Buccaneers, I'm saying take the best defensive player available, even if you are getting better value at Kenyon Sadiq. I just think trying to replace Mike Evans in round 1, for me, it's not the way to go. Let's go to Lee and Sebring. What's up, Lee?
Well, I'm with you. Mesidor on the first pick, 15, if he's there. We whipped in free agency. Scott Reynolds, Ira Kaufman, the media people and yourselves, a lot of people in the media know we whipped in free agency with Muhammad. He's not a 3-down edge rusher. Mesidor, if he's there. Howell, if he ain't. And after that thought, but we got to get an edge rusher. We don't have one. And the last report I had was Walker. It's just rehabilitating yet. He's not even ready to go even during next year. Possibly ready, okay? And he's never been in pads. So Mesidor from Miami.
I like it, Lee. Thanks for the call. I think the narrative of they whiffed in free agency is kind of not fair. I don't think they necessarily whiffed. I think you just wanted them to go for home run hits, and that's just not what they were going for. You don't spend and go for the home run guy in free agency unless you are like right on the doorstep of a championship. Like you don't. You didn't have, the best team. Like you weren't considered a top 5 team. You're not considered having one of the top 5 rosters in the National Football League. When you have one of the top 5 rosters, then you have the luxury of being able to go out and possibly overspend and restructure deals and push it all back. And you can do what they did in 2020 and 2021. They pushed all of that stuff back in 2021 to do one more year because they believed in the roster. It was a championship caliber roster. They were coming off of a Super Bowl. And then in 21, obviously the game, the cover, the Stafford to Cooper Kupp and on the zero blitz, and they lose a heartbreaker. In 2022, they come back. They believe they have a roster. Now they went under 500. They still won the division, but they underachieved there in 2022. But they did have the roster, they believe, so they continued to push things down the road because they thought they had one of the best rosters in football. You can't do that when you don't believe you have one of the best rosters in football. And Jason Light has to be a realist. He knows that this team, the way they were built, wasn't going to win a Super Bowl, just by adding somebody in free agency. I think getting Max Crosby would have been lovely. It would have been fantastic. I don't think Max Crosby puts you over the edge to win you a championship. I think if you're going to go get Max Crosby and you're going to give up 2 first-round picks, you have to be damn close on the doorstep to the Super Bowl, and you weren't. So that's why they didn't go for the home run. They filled gaps that they needed to fill. Alex Anzalone is going to be better than Levante David. Now, career-wise, no. Levante is, in my opinion, a Hall of Famer. I don't think Anzalone is. But Anzalone right now, who is 6 years younger than Levante David, is a better linebacker. And he's going to be able to run your defense. So you upgraded there. I think Kenneth Gainwell is better than Rachaad White. You upgraded there. The offensive line should be healthy. You upgraded there. Wide receiver, you downgraded a little bit, but the wide receiver room was so deep, I'm okay with it. Chris Godwin was coming on at the end of the year. Emeka Egbuka's only going to get better. Remember, he was only a rookie. So they can't just go all in, guys, every single offseason and just spend and kick things down the road. It doesn't work like that. That's how you end up with a really giant mess on your hands. And then we're talking about how bad this team is. Right now, we're at least talking about, hey, they're in the running for the South. They can make the playoffs. And you never know. They can surprise. But if you go all in and it doesn't work out and you don't deliver a Super Bowl, you're starting over in a bad spot. I don't think they were ready to push all their chips in. That's when you go for home run free agencies, putting all the chips in the middle of the table and go, we're going for it. And if you think the Buccaneers were in a position to do that at the beginning of this offseason, you are a delusional fan out of your mind. You have to be realistic about it. Now, is it exciting when you get a big-name player? Absolutely. You know, if they would have went out and got Trey Hendrickson, I'd support that. I think they didn't want to sign him for a 4-year deal. I understand that as well. But he was more in the discussion than Max Crosby because you didn't have to give up anything for him. And don't forget, you're going to have to pay Baker Mayfield, whether you like it or not. It's going to be a $55 million quarterback. And some of you just laughed, he ain't worth $55 million. Guess what? He's going to get it. Because that's the going rate for a quarterback. I think Baker Mayfield is just as good, if not better, than some of these guys making 53, 54, 55 million. Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, who am I forgetting? Tua, right? He's $50+ million. I'd take Baker Mayfield over just about everybody I named. Maybe I'd take Jordan Love, but I'd still probably take Baker. I think there's upside to Jordan Love, but I'm still not completely sold just yet.
You can't have Jordan Love.
No, they can't have Jordan Love. We'll see how this all works out. But I think them not going for a home run hire this offseason, it doesn't mean they whiffed. They didn't have the luxury to do that. And I'm not saying I like every single signing, and I think they were all game changers, but I think they went out and got pieces to the puzzle that they needed to make the team better. You know, I would say that this team got a little bit better on defense. And on offense, just getting your offensive line back is going to make you a little bit better. Somebody brought up a good point on the text line. Maybe this name, Kenyon Sadiq, is smokescreen to trade back. And it might be. You know, that's the one guy maybe somebody might trade up to 15 to go get. But I don't know how much draft capital a team is going to be willing to give up for a tight end either in round number 1. You know, that's not very realistic. It's not like there's a quarterback there. You know, that's what's really hurting the Bucs picking 15th right now is this is not a quarterback-heavy draft. It'd be nice if there was more than just one quarterback going ahead of us. You know, if there was 2 or 3 or even 4. What was it, that C.J. Stroud draft? All those quarterbacks were taken, Trey Lance, like that year. That would have been nice. But unfortunately, it just didn't happen. Bad luck. But I don't think they have failed by any means, or whiffed, I guess I should say. Just don't think that's fair. The Rays. I didn't really touch on them because we got so into that last call. Do you believe the Rays, the last 2 games, that's kind of who the real Rays are, kind of starting to feel like it? Bats have come down a little bit, not hitting like they were. I wonder if it's just taking them a minute to get used to the Trop. It didn't take the Cubs long to get used to it. It took them 1 game. They struggled in the first game, and games 2 and 3, they hit away, but we didn't really help them because of all the errors. They are just not playing Rays baseball right now. The panic meter's not going nuts yet. I still think you don't learn about a team 35 games into the year, but they're definitely starting to help out the case for those who are all negative from day number 1. The errors got to come down. 17 in 12 games is a lot. The Milwaukee Brewers have 1. And that's why they're a much better baseball team right now. You have errors, you're not going to win baseball games. Not when you're the Tampa Bay Rays. You don't have the hitting that can, overpower that or overcome that. All right, so now that the Rays have played at home, every team has played a home game. Every baseball stadium has new food. And some of them are weird. Like, wait till you hear what the Seattle Mariners have. I'm going to give you guys the food item. You're going to tell me what stadium, what team is selling this at their stadium. We'll do that next.